Today I have a requested video. Somebody requested me to do a video on how I make my pinto beans. So I'm going to show you two ways in the video how I make my pinto beans, but I'm also going to tell you like other ways now because I didn't film everything. It would take me too long, you know, to film all the different ways I make the pinto beans. So when I make my pinto beans, you're going to see me make it, you know, the normal way. So when I make it that way, sometimes I use a jalapeno just by itself in there to give it a little spice, or sometimes I'll put some bacon and jalapenos in it together, or sometimes I put pig's feet. I know that might sound gross to some of you guys, but I grew up, my mom, she would make pinto beans with pig's feet in it, and actually really good and really flavorful. So it's just the same way I put in there, you just throw it in there, everything else, you know, that I'm telling you. And also there's times I've made carnitas and the bone is, you know, left, and I'll just throw it in there. My favorite way to eat it is with ham. So like for Thanksgiving or Christmas or Easter, when you use all of the ham, I save the bone and I put it in there. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this helps somebody out, and I hope you guys all have a good day. Bye-bye. I have a pound of pinto beans in here. I already rinsed them. I took out any rocks or any of those little shriveled old beans in there, and then I filled this up to the brim, almost to the brim, because the water evaporates and I always usually have to add more water anyway. And when you do add more water, make sure that the water is boiled. Do not put cold water in it. And then I have a half an onion, and I do chop it up really small because I like it to disintegrate and, you know, just have all the flavor inside there. This is a half a brown onion, and then I have 2 garlic cloves cut in half, and I will take some of those out, just 2 of them, and then the other I just mash it in there and it gives it flavor, and it does not taste like garlic at all. It just gives it a little bit more flavor. So I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait till this boils, and then once this boils, I'm gonna lower it down so I can simmer it about 3 hours. And I keep it like this, a little open, because if I don't do that, I notice that the beans will get too dark. I like it to have that, you know, light brown color to it. And I do not put the salt until later. It's been 3 hours now. I took out 2 garlic cloves. I left the other one in. They're already disintegrating. And I went ahead and I put some salt. You're gonna add any salt that you have. Just be careful with the salt. Add a little bit at a time and taste it, and then add more. Just be careful, because when it's cooking, it also gets more saltier. So just, you know, be a little careful with the salt. So I have that in there. So now I have it on high heat, and it's gonna boil for 15 minutes, and then I'll go ahead and mash them. Now they're ready to go ahead and mash. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some of the juice into here. I already added a little bit. I'm gonna add a little more than that. And why I do that is because if I mash it like this, it's gonna be way too watery. So I saved some of it just in case I took out too much of the juice, so I could add it in little by little. So I already mashed them. And so you could just serve them like this. This is like a super easy, healthier way. It's just the beans, water, salt, onion, and garlic. Some people do put lard. I do not put lard in mine, but lard does make it taste like restaurant style more. But I just do it this like simple way. So what I also put in here sometimes to give it more flavor is this taco seasoning. I also put in here. So if I'm making tostadas, which I'm making today, but I'm gonna put something different in the beans today for my tostadas, but you could also put some taco seasoning, and it tastes really good. So you could eat the beans just the way I did. I'm only gonna use half the batch. So I'm gonna show you something else that I do to my beans when I don't want it plain. So what I do is I also add some chorizo. So I'm gonna cook up some chorizo here. I'm only adding a half of that pork chorizo for half the batch that I am making, which is half a pound. This is done, it's already starting to burn. So I'm gonna go ahead, my husband's gonna add the beans. So I'm just gonna add the beans in here and mix it together. And then I'm gonna go ahead and let it simmer for about 15 minutes so all the, you know, this will go in there. Just to let you know, this is not healthy and not figure friendly way, but this way gives it really good flavor. So this is when the extra juice comes in handy. So it looks like it's not dry yet, but cooking for 15 minutes it might get a little dry. So that's when I go ahead and I add a little more of the, you know, bean juice in there so that it won't get dry and it could be nice and creamy. So this is it done. It has like a little orangey color to it. That's because of the chorizo. So that is actually like the third way that you can make it. Like I said, you could do it the first way, just the normal way, and then you could also add taco seasoning, or you could go ahead and put some chorizo inside of it.
I'm dreaming, you're wondering